Guys, it's time. It's time for my Everything I've Learned from the Halloween Tarot. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a little while, you know that I adore this tarot deck. And it's actually not the best fit for this series because it is so faithful to the Waitsmith system. You can, it's just so clear in every card. It's just a clone of the Waitsmith deck, but I love it. And I don't think other people love it enough. So it's time to tell you, maybe instead of everything I've learned from it, should be just what I love about the Halloween Tarot by Kipling West. You can get it in a pack with a book. And for me in Canada, this goes off and on Amazon all the time. Not just the deck, but the one with the book. And I'm always like, oh, if it's a good price, then I'll get the one with the book because I'm just really interested to hear the artist's take on the deck. It does come. Oh, do I even have it out? There it is. It does come with a guidebook. And I do also have the little version in a tin, which I love because it's so cute. But because I'm going to be talking about the cards in detail today, I thought I'd use the regular size version. Could have talked about every card. I say this every time, but this deck makes me so happy. So let's get into it. Halloween's coming up. It's cold. It's freezing here. It's getting dark really quick. So let's do this before I lose the light. So if you haven't been in this series before, I talk about some majors that really stand out to me, things I've learned from the deck, and then I go through the minors. I will link a full walkthrough below. Oh my God, guys, I just love it so much. I guess I should also say, like, it's a really cute deck, but I wouldn't call it a cutesy deck in that it's got a death card and it's got a tower card and it's got a devil card and it doesn't shy away from those kinds of things. I think I'm always just really in the mood to use it during fall. You could use it all year round. It just makes me so happy. I usually have it out till at least Christmas, maybe longer. It's because it makes me happy. It's a happy deck. So the first card I want to talk about is the Magician. So the deck uses a lot of classical sort of horror or carnival type archetypes through it. So it makes sense here that the magician is a stage magician. And he's pulling a rabbit out of the hat, but there's also all of the elemental suits of the deck. So in this particular deck, the minors have been renamed. So the pumpkins are pentacles. The bats are swords. The ghosts are cups. And the imps are wands. So you can see a little imp just behind his leg there, a little red imp. So while they're not lying on the table, they are all surrounding. We've got the Ouroboros inside the pumpkin's mouth. And it's like a ta-da. And I also just really like the expression on the bunny's face. Like, what, dude? And it's just such a fun, gorgeous card. Also through the deck, one of the things I love is this little black cat takes the entire journey through the deck. So he's there in every single card in some way. And to me, the cat sort of represents the reader, right? If you take the Fool's Journey and move through the tarot deck, it's the cat who's sort of looking and remarking on, not remarking on, what am I saying? But like, he gives us our perspective through the cards. So he's just so cute and I love him. I have a black cat, as you know, if you've watched this channel. She'll probably be up here at some point causing havoc. So we've got the Chariot, which is a hearse driven by a pumpkin head. I'll get to it when I talk to the minors, but often in the minors, there are elements of other minors in them. I'll talk about it when I get there. But you can see we've got the lion. So Kipling West has done a great job of, and I have to apologize. I'm actually not sure if Kipling West is a he or a she or, but I just adore it. We've got all the pumpkins on the fence. It's just so Halloween-y. The colors are great. And this jack-o'-lantern driving this chariot is just having a rollicking good time. And you can tell how fast they're going by the expression again on the cat's face, sort of worried about the speed they're going, just a speed demon in the chariot. So you can see there's just such a gorgeous sense of humor about this deck, but all of the elements are there that you can just read with anytime. Now, I've talked about this card before, I think. So here we have the Hermit, and the Hermit is our mad scientist. And boy, do I love this depiction. Because the Hermit is often depicted as just solitary, right? So, which understandably, it's the Hermit. But what I love about this is that the implication that you don't necessarily know what he's doing, but he's up to stuff. He's making things happen. He's got a big plan to reanimate a pumpkin with a brain. And he's going to try to make that work. And we've got a toad, and we've got a skull looking at him, and a rat in his laboratory, a hand in his pocket, a mortar and pestle, and then the cat looking on as well. But just because someone's in hermit mode doesn't mean that they're not actually doing important work, or, doing all of that back end work that needs to be happening in order for you to see a particular product. So I do love the sort of agency and action in this particular hermit card, and you just don't see him much, but doesn't mean he's not up to something. So isn't that fun? Okay, strength. You guys know how I love a strength card. And this one is just so perfect. I have a tiny problem with it, just in that I don't like circuses because of animal welfare issues that I hold near and dear to my heart. But whatever, it's the Halloween tarot. We're just going to love it and deal with it. But I mean, what I love here is the multiple interpretations of strength. Because this isn't just a lion tamer with her head in the lion's mouth, as you might expect, or, getting him to do a trick. But he's sick, and she's got a tongue depressor, and she's looking after him. And look how worried he looks. So what is the strength here? Is it this enormous lion who's could run and attack at any moment but doesn't? Or is it this person who's taking care of him and really being gentle and kind to him and not looking away from his problems just because he's big and strong? And just look at this artwork. Look at the adorable paws crossing one over another, like he's really vulnerable and worried in this moment. And of course, the cat looking on. We have the infinity symbol on the curtains. Again, such care has been taken to include everything in the card, but just in this new imagined world of Halloween. I'm going to say I love it about 10 gazillion times in this video. You're going to be so sick of me by the end. Okay, so here we go. I wanted to show the death card because you're like, well, is this a kid's deck? Like, how would you interpret the death card? So we actually have a lot here. What I really like about this is you could use this deck for sure with kids if you wanted to, and leave the death card in, because this is a card about the cycles of life, not just the end of life, right? So we've got a skeleton here, and he's watering his pumpkins, right? So we've got this circle of life. We've got the Death Watch beetle there, or what is it called? It's not a Death Watch beetle. It's it's a moth. How dumb of me. I had the word on the tip of my tongue and now it's gone. And we have a vulture looking on as well, right? But if you don't have death for the vulture to feed on, then the vulture itself dies, right? Like, it's all part of this cycle. So it's not an alarming portrait of death. And I guess you could say then it's been sort of fluffy bunnied up. And but I really like it. I like the symbol of the ankh and the rat and the sort of worn down fence that the vulture is sitting on. But the cat, you can see, has got his tail wrapped around the leg of death. Like, this card to me is very much a card of acceptance, right? So something has to go and make way for something else, which is the message of the death card. One of the messages of the death card. So I really like it. I really like it. I think it really works. We've got like the rose flower there on the watering can. It's just, everything is smart and well thought out. And again, I had to really cull because I was like, there's my initial pull for what I'm going to talk about in this video. And it was 78 cards in 5 different piles. So it's like, I got to really bring it down here so it's not too long. But I thought again, because the happy cards are pretty obvious in the Halloween tarot. Not obvious, but you're probably have bigger questions about how they deal with the darker cards. Here's the Tower. And gosh, I love this because of the myriad of possible interpretations. So we've got our traditional one. Lightning bolt hits the towers, a bunch of ghosts fall out. But also what I really like is we've got ghosts in the clearly haunted house, right? But the ghosts actually don't look that happy to be in there. So a potential reading of this card could be, are the ghosts that have been forced out of the house actually better off? Right? I mean, that's the thing about the tower. It's not the very end. It's like a little more than halfway through the process of moving your way through the major arcana. So the tower has to crumble in order to move on to the next brighter stages. So whose perspective are we taking here? I love that the cat's all fluffed out, because no matter what happens in the tower card, like, it's going to be a jolt, and it's going to be to some extent unexpected, and it's going to in the moment suck. Right? So the cat's got his big poofy tail. The gargoyle might have been expecting it. Look at his expression as he sits on the gate to the haunted house. I was gonna say to the tower, same thing, I guess. And we've got sort of the top of the tower looks like a king's crown, right? So this sort of toppling of powers might actually be a good thing. I just think for a deck that's called the Halloween Tarot, that's hand drawn in a deliberately cartoonish style, there's just so much depth here. It's so fun, but also just so great. And this is the reason why I haven't bothered with the Nightmare Before Christmas deck, and I haven't bothered with the Dark Mansion. I know everybody is all about the Dark Mansion Tarot, and I watch videos and I'm always like, I'm gonna get that deck. And then I take a look at my Halloween Tarot and think, when would I ever pull Dark Mansion out when I could be pulling out the Halloween Tarot instead? It fulfills everything I need for that. So I just still don't have the Dark Mansion Tarot, and I probably will never get it because I just don't think I'd ever use it. If I'm in this mood, this is what I want right here. I'm pointing like you can see the cards on my desk. It's the Halloween Tarot. God. Okay, so let's go on to the minors. I didn't choose any particular order for this. And let's start with the ghosts. Oh, sorry, my ghosts are out of order. Oh, they're really out of order. There we go. So again, the ghosts are cups. They're so cute, these ghosts. And I just really love this, the verbal, oh my God, you guys, the visual imagery of the ghosts being three separate entities, all equalized, but also being sort of braided together at the bottom and tied, this sort of distinct link between the three of just love and respect and joy in their little dance. It's just the Three of Cups is already such a lovely, heartwarming, warm card. And then this one I feel is even warmer with its little braided ghosts. The Six of Ghosts. So here we have sort of our nostalgia card, right? These ideas of childhood. And just what I really like about it is how happy the other ghosts are in the picture, right? We've got this act of kindness, little kitty cats looking on. And let me see if I can I always get the wrong side. This ghost in particular, I mean, if you want to talk about nostalgia, this sort of dreamy, childlike wonder, doesn't he just exemplify it perfectly? So we've got all these sort of, now that these characters are alive, it's not we've got in the Waite Smith deck, you've got inanimate objects, cups, right? Or wands. And then you've got people interacting with them. But here, the agency, the things that are alive, ghosts, are the element themselves. So then they take on the personality of whatever that is. Did I explain that very well? Anyway, I think it's cool. Uh-oh. And then I just put down my, oh, they're there. Phew. And this is actually another great example of what I was just saying. So the Eight of Cups has the figure walking up the mountain away from the cups. And up here, of course, if the figure walking away is sad, so are the figures being walked away from, right? And they're watching. Their faces are fairly blank, so it's difficult to know if all of them, I think you can interpret that some of them think it's, right to go and are sort of with him on that journey as they watch him go. But we get this sense of something being left behind, right? When you're on that kind of Eight of Cups journey, you're never just leaving behind inanimate objects, right? There's emotions there. This is the card of emotions. Hi, Kitty. It's not Black Kitty. It's Tabby Kitty. You never come up on videos. Okay. She likes to eat my hair, so we'll see how this goes. So what was I saying? Was it interesting? I don't know. Anyway, the ghosts are sad and we see the implications of leaving, but still feel like the leaving is the right thing to do. This is an example of what I was talking about before. One of the suits is pumpkins, and we see he's got a little pumpkin on his staff, right? So there's this blending of suits, which is really interesting. Okay, you're going to have to go because you're sitting on all my piles. You can sit there if you don't mess everything up. And then I wanted to show a couple court cards. This is the only one where I've got 2 court cards, but I just thought the links between them were really cool. So here we have the Page of Ghosts. And we've got this sort of young energy. Again, the Page of Cups is very clear, but I love that it's a skeleton fish instead of a fish. And look how happy the skeleton fish is to see him. But also he's pretending to be a ghost. So the page still has that real sense of childhood. He himself is in a Halloween costume and he's got rolled up jeans and like Converse shoes, and everything about him sort of says youth. And he's also got this down here, which I always sort of think of as maybe like a love letter, right? Like coming into that time of your emotional being. And then look at that little supportive ghost on the other side. And then if we're going to follow that through, here we have the King of Ghosts. So you can see that the skeleton fish is now a necklace around his neck. So he's like taken those lessons from his youth. They're still a part of him as he's older. And now we've also got the skeleton fish on his little platform. We've got the bones on his robe. We've got a ship and a sea monster in the background, which I think is just hilarious. And, you know, the King of Cups is kind of a reserved dude. That's the thing about him, is that while the Queen of Cups has a foot in the water, he doesn't. But it does, even though he's looking away from the ghost, he is sort of hanging on to that emotion, even if he keeps it a bit hidden. So what a great depiction. All right, on to what should we do next? Let's do swords. So the swords, the suit of air, are bats. So here we have the 6 of bats. And I love that they could fly ahead. They're winged. They don't need to be on this boat with the 2 figures that are crossing. But they are, right? Like they're taking that journey with them. And it's clear this is the right thing to do. Often the cat in the deck is sort of questioning, like in the Chariot card, like, you sure you want to be going this fast? But look at the cat in this card. Like, this is a foregone conclusion. We need to move on from where we were and get to where we're going. And I just love the decisiveness of this card. And also, we've got the pumpkins, right? So again, this blending of suits. We've got the pumpkin rower, and then we've got pumpkins in the boat, and she's actually holding a little jack-o'-lantern in her lap. So I do really like that. It's like they're the motivators for the journey. The air, the intellect is the motivator for that journey. Now this one I really like because I think, again, there's a number of different interpretations. So we've got the 7 of Swords. We've got our little sneaky stealer. This vegetable man. The vegetable man actually comes up in a couple different cards, including, I'm going to say, the 4 of Pentacles, maybe? I can't quite remember. I'd have to go back and look for weirdo vegetable man. But he's a bit of a sly character, and he is stealing the bats. But what I love about this, again, is the depth of interpretation that it offers. If it's just swords, they're inanimate and whatever. He's sneaking away with that. But in this card, a couple of the bats are like, I'm out of this bag. Like, what lesson are we to take from it? Is this a cautionary tale for sneaky vegetable man? Like, you can try and sneak away with his stuff, but it's going to come back to bite you like a vampire bat. Get it? You know, your plan is inherently flawed to carry this bag of bats out of there. Are they going to zoom away in that direction, or are they going to zoom back to where they came from? There's just so many opportunities here to interpret this card depending on what comes out around it. So I really like the 9 of bats. It's just so similar to the Waitsmith. It's exactly the Waitsmith, right down to the plaid bedspread. But what I really like about the nuance of this card is that if the bats are her nightmares, like a lot of people are really bothered by bats, and they can be sort of considered a nightmarish animal. but they're really harmless and important to our ecosystem. Like, they really get a bad rap as an animal. And so I like that nuance of this card that, okay, so you're having, and I'm no better. I have a huge phobia of spiders. I know in my brain it's a ridiculous phobia, but it's really hard for me to deal with. I have lots of nightmares about spiders. But in the end, like, what are they going to do to you? Nothing. They don't want to be flying around you. They want to be outside and away from you. And I love that the cat is like, honey, I'm here. I'll look after you. It's okay. It's just the perfect summation of a nightmare, right? Your brain blowing something up that actually isn't a real risk to you at all, right? Your brain is spinning out of control. And finally, the Queen of Bats. What I love about this card is, like, she's welcoming the bat to land on her, right? So I chose it because I see a real link between this card and this card in terms of intellectual growth and progress, right? Like, she has made her peace with this scary image and she's welcoming it onto her hand. And she's such a badass. Not going to take anything from anybody. Even got the bat on her throne, right? And we've got the moth repeated both at the foot of the throne and on her hat. So there's a little cat there. What a great deck. Okay, let's go to pumpkins. So pumpkins are pentacles. And I chose the 5 of pumpkins because this is such a little... the pain is so real in this card. Right? Like the spilled Halloween treats, and the kid just feeling sort of sad and left out, and the older brother or sister dragging kid around. This is another really great card where a lot of alternative suits are featured, right? So it is the card of pumpkins. So we've got the suit of pumpkins, I should say. So we've got 5 pumpkins. But one of the suits we're going to see in a moment is Imps. Let me just give you there's some imps there. So this kid is actually dressed as an imp. This one is dressed kind of like the Fool. The Fool is a clown. Not entirely. It's not a direct mix. I don't even know if it was intentional, but it's just what makes me think of it. And then we've got a bat also in the stained glass window. So a lot of blending of these different suit images. But just the sadness of feeling like there's something that you want to have access to, but you don't have access to it. The 7 of pumpkins. I mean, not anything revolutionary or groundbreaking. Again, it's brand new, but I do love that it's a scarecrow pumpkin hybrid. It seems to be looking over his crops with such pride and just infinite patience. Waiting for them to come ready and to be ready to come off of the vine, right? Because if you think of what a scarecrow does, it protects crops, or that's the idea behind it. So that he really is the sort of nurturer and protector of this thing that's still growing, not quite ready to become a jack-o'-lantern yet. And he's just, look at his face. He's so happy. And look at the cat watching him. And then we have the 8 of pumpkins. So I love this. There's another vegetable man, a different vegetable man this time, I think, although he does seem to have an onion for a head. But what I just really enjoy this as a deck of craft because every single pumpkin face is different, which is a little bit of a change from the Waitsmith one, where it's the same pentacle that the artisan is creating over and over and over again. And it's probably just for visual interest. But I like that. I like that this artist is branching out in his craft and that for every single pumpkin he makes, we've got a different face on it. And look at him displaying them so proudly on his wrought iron fence on Halloween night. So I really, really like that. And then finally, we've got the Queen of Pumpkins, right? It's understandable that she would be the most interactive with the black cat because of her sort of nurturing her earthy wisdom. She's even got a black cat on her vase there. And we've got her cradling the pumpkins on her gowns, a little pumpkin planter there, a rabbit, right? That sort of lush beauty of the Queen of Pentacles coming out in that card. Okay, and now for the wands. Sorry. For the wands, we have the Imps. Oh my God, I love this so much. So we have quite a different interpretation for the 2 of Imps, right? So this is a card about choices and sort of looking out and making plans for the future, right? In the Waitsmith deck. I should have pulled that one specifically just to show the difference. But I love the sort of aggressive nature of the visions here, that your 2 visions might actually be warring with each other, right? And making that decision a little bit harder, as opposed to a let's sit back and contemplate this decision. More of a real conflict between the 2 decisions that you have to make. But you just need your adult brain to come in and sort things out. I love that they're fighting like little children, like little hair pillars. And then the cat is just watching on. And you just need to figure it out before you can turn and look out over the horizon and decide what it is you're going to do. That makes me laugh. The 6 of Wands. I just think this is really just in the childlike Halloween spirit of the deck, in that they're all on the back of the horse and they're carrying the cat. One of the things that always strikes me about the 6 of Wands is how the guy is returning home on his horse and he is super triumphant, but the people around him don't seem necessarily all that happy for him. Like there's a real class difference there, it seems, and maybe some resentments. Maybe he's not all that great a guy, but they're being forced to celebrate him anyway. But this card, this interpretation of the card sort of removes that. And all the little imps are coming in together on their own horse, and they don't seem angry or upset with each other. And one's even carrying our little cat in with us, and another one's holding him on the horse. Like, it's just all really sweet, this victory. So I like that interpretation for this particular deck. Oh, sorry, I usually do it in order, but I screwed it up. Sorry. Here we've got the 5 of Imps. And again, our cat's a little fluffed out by all of this, right? All of this conflict. But this is the perfect 5 of Wands for me, because look, they're all holding their wands, but none of them are actually touching. Like, I pulled it. Oh, did I? Crap, I didn't pull it out. I thought I did. Like the Waitsmith one, it looks like they're really like into it. But this one, like, none of the wands are making contact with it. They're just peacocking around each other. Oh, sorry. Dogs are chasing cats. Just peacocking and showing off. And I'm going to hit you with my wand and I'm going to hit you with my wand. But it's all just ridiculous, which is what I think of when we come to that 5 of Wands conflict. Like, everybody just take a minute and simmer down already, because this is dumb. That interpretation really makes me laugh. All the little imps and their little tails. And then finally, the 7 of Wands is also a really different interpretation that I find fascinating. So this is the last card I pulled for the video. But so if you can think of the Waitsmith, oh, this one I did actually pull because it's so different. There. Right, so here we've got one guy sort of seemingly fighting off unseen forces, a little more serious. Let's wait for this to pass. I don't know what's happening. There we go. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I hope you weren't watching this with headphones on. Anyway, fighting off unseen forces, a more serious card, a more dire situation, it seems, than the 5 of Wands with everybody being an idiot. And here, it seems to me like our one little dude is here in the middle. He's not an actual imp. He's just a boy in an imp costume, or a girl maybe, but a kid in an imp costume. And the front one is pointing up to a haunted house. And the last one seems to be conspiring with our cat here. And everybody's looking towards this kid. It's like a childhood dare, like who's going to go stay in the haunted house, or who's going to go up and touch the front door on Halloween night. So this sort of like, it does seem like they're ganging up on the kid, but it's much more understated and mischievous, maybe almost a bullying scenario. Like, I think this is a really rich, deep, and in some ways darker card. He doesn't fit in with the rest of them, and therefore maybe is going to be taunted a little bit as he goes up to explore this haunted house. And then what's the role of this last one? If the cat, is the cat maybe on the kid's side and the last one's taking mercy on him? Is the cat in on it? There's so many opportunities here for just for interpretation depending on what else you pull. So that's the Halloween Tarot. I wish they would make it borderless. I saw someone, I'm going to forget, maybe Tom Benjamin took a Sharpie and colored all the edges black, and it looks gorgeous. And I think he said on his channel that it was the most tedious, horrible thing he's ever had to do, except for now he's got a totally blacked out version of the Halloween tarot, which I would adore. I know people have trimmed them, but I just don't trust my trimming skills that well. But it is such a winner. I cannot recommend it highly enough. I just love it. I love this deck so much. I'm sure I've said it now 1,000 times in this video. So if you haven't checked it out, you can probably get it delivered to you super quick. It's on Amazon, and you could probably get it before Halloween. It's just such a winner. One of the favorites in my collection. One of the first ones I got, and I've never get tired of it. I just love it. That's the World card, by the way. All right, so I'll be back with a week ahead reading and another week ahead reading on Halloween itself, and you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be using the Halloween tarot. Have a great day.